Welcome back everybody to part 45 of Let's Play EarthBound. In today's episode we're going to be going to the last dungeon in the game, the Cave of the Past. Yeah, after we can go get through that phase disorder. Unfortunately we can't return after we get to go into the phase disorder and actually go to the Cave of the Past. So you're going to want to prepare, as Dr. Andrews is talking about right now. And by doing that, get some brain food lunches, get some super plush bears, and maybe some multi-bottle rockets, which I neglected to do, so I'll see you guys on the other side. Alrighty, now that we've got the items needed to proceed in the final quest, and I'm going to repeat this once more just in case you didn't understand me the first time, and to add further emphasis on what I'm trying to say here. Prepare yourself for this dungeon. Why? This place is... If you go in unprepared, this place is quite easily the hardest dungeon in the game. You're gonna get your ass handed to you quite easily, but anyway, we're now in the Cave of the Past. We went to this place a little bit early, but now we can actually access it properly. This place doesn't seem too ominous. Oh, hey, it's this guy. Yes, we are finally here. Yes, I know there's little time left. We're almost at the end of the game. We're going to the bloody last dungeon in the game. But anyway, he'll teach Pooh PSI Starstorm Alpha, which was the final spell he really learns it is of any use. It does a constant about 700 odd damage to the enemies, every single enemy, pretty much like PSI Starstorm Alpha, but a lot more stronger. And who the hell would want to kidnap a Mr. Saturn? That's just not right. Well, we can't really do anything here, but hey, here's another phase distorter. So I suppose the Mr. Saturn's had the phase disorders destroyed, but now the problem with phase disorder has been fixed properly. It's talking about Gygus coming from many years to the past, and we're going to have to go through the past, and Dr. Andrews has something that he wants to tell us, but he's just going to walk away. I don't understand that at all. But as he's going to be saying that the phase disorder 3 cannot, if you actually travel through time, or your life forms go to shit or some crap like that, and then you're dead, and you need to be turned into robots in order to become able to go through the phase disorder, otherwise we're gonna die. So just remember that if you guys are trying to plan any stupid time travel activities, just make sure you're in a robot, your mind, your body and your soul are in robots before you actually go ahead and put yourselves through these travelling back in time to do whatever the hell have you. This drilling's quite a bit morbid, don't you think? Anyway, they put this drill sound effect is actually the same drill recycling from when Jeff fixed the submarine a little bit earlier in the game, if you didn't actually notice that anyway. I thought it was a bit morbid. He just took Ness's cap off him and now we're just getting drilled through the head. I don't actually know how the whole process of putting bodies into robots works or anything like that. Guess you're stuck with the laws of robotics and you can't kill other people and you're only supposed to help people, but I think our little party of people will suffice in our little quest. Yes, there is no turning back now, I've already iterated that. And Ness, just no putting any pressure on Ness, you know, it's all in your hand. And this is going to be a very monumental undertaking. And now we're going to have a bit of pulsing effect as we travel back through time. This is quite anticlimactic. I was expecting a lot more, seriously, with time travel at least. It's just a whole bunch of circles pulsating at me as we go through a white light. I would seriously just sit there and watch a lava lamp. It has the same hypnotic effect. But nonetheless, we're here in the Cave of the Past, in the past. And as you can see, our party are now a bunch of robots. This is mainly because, well, of the previous storyline, and well, now this is only really a cosmetic change, it doesn't really do much. Anyway, we've dealt with the final Starman before. Same deal pretty much goes with them now. Just get in first with the bloody shield, otherwise you're going to be in a tough spot. Also, the woolly shamblers are very weak to freeze, and they're pretty much the same thing as the other counterparts. They're really not too much to worry about, I don't think, but like I said, just watch out for the PSI Starstorm from the Ghost of Starman, as I've talked about before. Generally try to take these guys out last, because they really are no threat after they've used the PSI Starstorm. And yeah, that's really all there is to these battle things. Oh yeah, these woolly shamblers can do quite a number on their own. Generally we have pretty good defenses by this stage, and Ness is going to be doing most of the work pretty much in the offensive department if you didn't already know that. That was the whole point of that Magicant thing where we actually go and power ourselves up to high hell. Also, the Cave of the Past is a very difficult dungeon, as I've said before. Fortunately for us, it's a very straightforward one, but it's going to be littered with enemies. If at any time you feel that you need to heal up, I usually recommend trying to maintain your PP and all that. You can always go back to the Phase Distorter, you can save your game if you need to, and you can also heal yourself up. So just make sure to take advantage of those if you actually need to do this. I'm surprised I didn't actually have to go through this entire thing and heal up at all, like on the way through here. Oh, these guys are assholes. So anyway, the nuclear reactor robot. They like to heal themselves up to full health at free will. They also explode on you. They are, like the other counterparts, they are pretty weak to freeze, so take them out quickly. Chances are you're going to get a freeze in on them, and they won't be able to really attack you back at all, or fire a beam at you, but they can heal themselves right up, and it just puts you back at square one. They're very, very annoying, especially when you are fighting them with multiple enemies, in which case, because you're going to want to take them out last, because it's pretty much the rule with exploding enemies in EarthBound. But if you take them out first, they'll pretty much kill pretty much everyone except for Paul and Ness and Jeff with some luck. I guess that's sort of why you need the super plush bears to absorb those hits. But with multiple enemies, these guys are just really painful. Like, you'll get a really hard enemy down to like a few health, and you'll just Rift Planet the fuel supply, and just makes battles go forever. Anyway, as I was saying, you are going to want to take advantage of the Phase Distorter. I was lucky considering I'm very underleveled at this point of the game. I should really be in the level 70s at this point, but oh well, beggars can't be choosers. And yeah, that's probably why it's a good idea to bring some brain food lunches and some super plush bears to absorb the damage. Another thing I forgot to get was multi-bottle rockets, but oh well. As you can see, this area is just quite littered with enemies. Like this, the Ultimate Octobot. They are pretty much like their previous counterparts, where they just try to steal crap from you. Also, I think this battle is a very good example of how much of an asshole that nuclear reactor robot is. I always chip away at the Octobot's health, I think, and then like the reactor robot just goes and heals it straight back up to full, and I gotta start all over again, and it's just, it does get on your nerves a fair bit. It's really more a minor nuisance than anything. Like, otherwise the nuclear reactor robots themselves won't do too much damage. The Ultimate Octobots can also do a fair bit of damage themselves. They use their little shooting beams attacks, which does about a good 150 damage on you, considering the HP levels of pretty much two of my characters, which are pretty poor. That could take you out pretty quickly and put you in a bothersome spot. And it's also probably advisable to try to keep Paula alive as long as humanly possible, because you're going to need her. She's the main sort of player in the final boss fight with Guy, I guess. As you probably know, Paula's pretty much the strongest member of the party, other than Ness himself, like at this stage, but most of the way Paula's pretty much carried us through the game with her various PSI skills, and Pooh's pretty much been a compliment to Paula, and he's pretty much just a weaker version of Ness. So yeah, also conserve your PP, because Pooh and Paula work quite low on PP, especially at this stage, getting towards the end of the dungeon. Fortunately, the dungeon is actually really short as well. It's just the enemies that really make your life really miserable. And that's a good example of how PSI Starstorm works. It does a good 700 odd damage, and it takes out the nuclear reactor robot. As you can see, its explosions can do quite a bit of damage, especially if you leave them out late in the part, if you take them out early. Also, considering that they're pretty tough enemies, they only have 1 in 28 chance of dropping a PSI caramel, which isn't really worthwhile considering it, but oh well. PP restoration is PP restoration nonetheless. Also, you got that magic butterfly back there you can go back to, as we saw earlier. I don't know, it'd be a bit risky to go back and forth trying to deal with enemies and all that, but in this present thingy, there is a legendary bat. This is the strongest, by far the strongest weapon that Ness has, and pretty much will max out Ness's offensive stats. So make sure you get this item. Like, it's pretty much, you can't miss this item anyway. It's pretty much on the straight path on where you're going. And it'll go up to it'll give you a plus 30 attack bonus, and his attack's pretty well maxed out. Well, I think the top attack strength is 255. It's that whole 256-bit number system that a lot of RPGs in this era used. But we're very close to having his attack maxed out. And a smash attack from Ness, which could be considered quite common, especially late in the game, because you've got your gut stat up. That can do quite a number on the enemies. As you can see there with the Ultimate Octobot, it did a good 350 damage alone without a smash hit, which is generally about what PSI Gamma does, LP and Gamma does. So it's a pretty good idea, and now we've reached this orb thing, which we can finally go through. This will take us to another little U-turn thing in this little dungeon thing of Demise and Doom and new enemies. Well, I made a complete fucking idiot out of myself there. Note to self, use a fucking neutralizer on a certain enemy that I'll deal with in a little bit. I left that battle out just simply because, well, I didn't really want to make an idiot out of myself on screen because I did some very stupid thing. Anyway, if we go through into this orb, this will take us right out the front of Gygas's lair itself, and we got attacked from behind. And this is the final Starman, which is pretty much one of the final enemies. There's another enemy which we didn't encounter, which was the Squatter Demon, which could pretty much poison you, and I think dies you at free will. But with the final Starman, make sure you use the neutralizer before you actually go ahead and do anything with it, because chances are, on the first turn, it will PSI Shield Beta, and you'll use a PSI spell, like me, like an absolute fucking idiot, and it'll backfire and hit you in the ass for it, and you'll have someone die, and I had to waste a couple of life noodles, which would have been put to better use, especially in the Gygas fight, the whole shenanigans that Gygas gets up to. But other than that, when you can actually get rid of their shields and all that, the final Starmen themselves aren't very difficult to take out at all. They just, well, they resist pretty much everything. Like Ghost of Starmen, just use your strongest free spell, or your strongest attack pretty much, which is pretty much the basic strategy for this entire game. Which is really a bit of a criticism I've had throughout this game. Because generally the whole thing is, a lot of the enemies, you just use the same thing over and over again, and I think a lot of the dialogue, which is a lot of the stuff I'm missed out on in the game, just simply because of the actual, I want to actually progress the storyline, progress the plot in the LP, which is why I actually recommend you guys go and play it yourselves. And I think that dialogue element, what I think is actually that the dialogue makes the game what it is. It's the masterpiece that it is. I get cut off by the buzzer here, so we are now actually just about to enter Gygas's lair. So next time we're going to be doing that and actually finishing the game off. So I thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Good night, everybody.